Thank you, Mr. President. And I want to express my great thanks for my colleague in West Virginia, Senator Capito, who has been absolutely a champion on this, but also a champion on looking at new technologies and a champion to actually see what we can do kind of moving forward with the great innovation that is the history of this country and really the history of coal country. If you look at over the life of the Clean Air Act, you will see literally billions of dollars of investment in cleaner energy, billions of dollars of investment in pollution control, billions of dollars of commitment to the environment by the industries that we represent, whether it is in fact a utility industry that has an interesting resource mix that includes coal, or whether it is in fact those facilities that utilize the energy, looking at energy efficiency. And so the numbers that Senator Capito just gave you in terms of America's achievement on reduction of CO2 happened without any involvement or any interference by the Environmental Protection Agency. North Dakota's situation is unique as it relates to the Clean Power Plant rules. And that is why North Dakota filed its own separate piece of litigation, because we have a different story to tell, I believe, a story that involves lignite, which isn't the coal that's mined in West Virginia, but it certainly, for those of us in the center of the country, has become an important fuel source for generation of electricity for generations. When you look at it and you think about where we are with fuel sources, and you remember that there was a period of time when utility companies in this country were told you cannot use natural gas to generate electricity. And as a result, billions of dollars of investment was deployed to find a way to have redundant, reliable, and affordable source of energy. And that redundant, reliable, and affordable source of energy was coal in our mix. Now things have transitioned. North Dakota is truly all of the above as it relates to our energy resources in this country and providing the electricity and the reliability of our electricity in the region. And so when we look at where we are right now, we have created an incredible level of uncertainty for utility companies in this country. What do I mean by that? If you're sitting as a member of the board of directors right now in a utility company and you know that you're going to have baseload growth moving forward, how do you build out your resources to meet the demand, which under a lot of our regulatory environment you're required to do? You now are told, look, by this year certain, you in North Dakota have to reduce your CO2 output by 45%. Guess what? The original rule, as drafted, had an 11% reduction. Now we're up to 44%. In what world is that an appropriate leap as we move forward in terms of looking at compliance with this new regulation? EPA is not authorized to issue rules that are impossible. That is the baseline and fundamental principle of both the Clean Air and Clean Water Act. It's best available technology. What is actually there, what's commercially available in that space? And I will tell you, I have sat down with utility companies in my state who tell me it is virtually impossible. So we have a rule that's impossible, but we have something that I think the good senator from West Virginia talked about that is even more serious. We have one agency of the federal government, not empowered by any law in this country, basically controlling our energy deployment, our electrical deployment. We've ignored FERC. We've ignored all the other agencies that are responsible for transmission of electricity. And I will tell you, if you look at the history of this country and you compare the history of this country with very many of our competitors across the world, the one thing that we do is that when you reach over to turn on a light switch in the United States of America, the lights come on. And it doesn't matter what time of the day. And if you are building a new facility, a new manufacturing facility, you need new energy, that energy is made available to you. That is a miracle. Having energy in this country deployed at the end of the mile in my state, which can be things as remote as another 20, 30 miles away from anyone else, we deliver electricity. That's a miracle. is really a miracle of the commitment that we've made to make sure that we have power in America. This rule jeopardizes that commitment. This rule is wrong-headed. This rule is a dramatic change from the draft rule, especially as it relates to the state of North Dakota. And this rule represents an attitude that we don't care what the law says. We don't care that you've rejected cap and trade. We don't care that you've rejected a carbon tax. We are going to unilaterally adopt those public policies as public policies in America. I don't think any of that should happen. I think that it is time that we push back at all levels. But as I've said many times on the floor, whether it's Waters of the United States or whether it's Clean Power Plant Rule, the challenge that we have is trying to do what this Congress is responsible for doing, which is to legislate. It's not to have a fight about whether we like EPA or not to have a fight about whether this rule is right or not, but what's the appropriate public policy? And when we simply leave it to the regulatory agencies, what we end up is with litigation and uncertainty for those people sitting in the boardroom who have a critical responsibility for delivering power in the United States of America. And so I gladly join my colleague from West Virginia as we pursue this. I think we all know that this will likely pass. We also know what the likely outcome will be once it reaches the president's desk. And so we need to continue to have these conversations. We need to continue to talk about what the consequences are, not just for the coal miners in West Virginia and the coal miners in North Dakota, but for the redundant, reliable, and affordable delivery of electricity in our country. With that, Mr. President, I yield the floor.